Hi, this video is going to look at modeling measurement problems with algebra. The learning goal for this video is to solve problems related to modeling perimeter with algebraic expressions. So we've got a problem here where it's saying the perimeter of this rectangle is 78 meters and determine its dimensions. So the length and the width here are actually expressed as algebraic expressions. We are going to figure out some way of finding out what this x is. Because if I know what the value of x is, then what I can do is I can just do 2 times whatever that value is, and that will get me the width here. And then if I know the value of x here, I can just multiply it by 4 and then add 3, and I'll know the length. So we need to figure out the value of x by creating an equation. So it says the perimeter of this rectangle is 78 meters. So that means that if I add all 4 sides up together, I should get 78 meters. So that's how I'm going to model the problem. I'm going to say I'm going to add up all 4 sides, and that should equal 78 meters. That's okay. So this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to say 4x plus 3, okay, plus that same side again, okay, because there's 2 sides, right? There's one on the top and one on the bottom. Okay. I can add now 2x, which is that side, and then I can add another 2x on the other side. All right. That will equal 78. Okay. Now you could have also said it's 2 times this plus 2 times the width, and that should also equal to 28. There's different ways to model this particular problem. This is just one option. Okay, so I notice that there are like terms here on the left hand side. I have 4x plus 4x plus 2x plus 2x. So if I add those together, 4x plus 4x is 8x, plus 2x, that's 10x, plus another 2x, that's 12x altogether. So I'm going to write 12x. Now there's also this plus 3 and plus 3. So if I add those together, I will get plus 6. So I've just simplified the left here. That's equal to 78. So now I need to solve for x. I'm going to isolate x here. I'm going to remove this plus 6, so I'm going to subtract 6. Now if I subtract 6 on this side, I'm going to have to subtract 6 on the right side as well. So that plus 6 and the minus 6 will subtract away. I am left on this left-hand side with 12x. That's equal to 78 minus 6 is 72. Now this 12 is saying 12 times x, some number, is equal to 72. So to figure out what that number is, I can do some division. I can divide this side by 12, which means I also have to divide the right side by 12. Those will divide away. So x is equal to 72 divided by 12 is 6. All right, so now I know that the value of x that makes this rectangle's perimeter 78 meters is 6. So the length here, right, I said is 4x plus 3. So I know what the value of x is. I know that it's 6. So I'm going to replace or substitute the value of x as 6, okay, plus 3. So this is saying 4 times 6 and then add 3. So 4 times 6 is 24. And I'm going to add 3 to get me 27. So the length is 27 meters. Let's look at the width. Whoa. The width here is 2x. Well, I know what x is, right? X is 6, so I'm going to replace that x with 6. So 2 times 6 is 12 meters. All right, whoops, width. So I know that the length is 27 meters and the width is 12 meters. So you can see here we need to create an equation. All right, so that's a huge step. Okay, well, you need to write an equation. The next step that you need to do is to go through all of this. We need to solve for x in your equation here. Whoops. Solve for x. And then once you have x, then you need to substitute the value here. Okay, so this last part here is substitute for x. Okay. Let's look at another example. Here we have a triangle. Again, the sides are represented with algebraic expressions. The perimeter of this triangle is 103 meters. We are going to determine its dimensions. So we are going to create an equation to model this problem. So we're saying that if the perimeter of this is 103, that means that if I add these three sides together, I should get 103 meters. So I'm going to write an equation to represent that. So I'm going to say 2 times x minus 4. Okay. If I add that with 4x plus 3, and then if I add that last side, 5x minus 2, together that should make 103. So our job now is to simplify this equation and solve. So I notice I have to do a little bit of multiplying here first. So I'm going to multiply the 2 into the term, or into the bracket. So this should be 2x, whoops, so that should be 2x, 2 times negative 4, that's minus 8. All right, now I'm just going to rewrite the rest of this equation. Is equal to 103. Let's look at the like terms here. I have 2x plus 4x plus 5x. If I add those three together, I should get 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. So that's 11x. I have here as the other, these are the constant terms. I have negative 8 plus 3 minus 2. So negative 8 minus 2, that's negative 10, plus 3, that's negative 7, is equal to 103. So now we're going to solve this equation. We're going to isolate x here. So I'm going to remove this minus 7 by adding 7 on both sides. So this will be 11x is equal to 110. I'm going to divide both sides now by 11. So x here, oh, they will divide away. So x is equal to 10. So now I know the value of x. Now this will allow me to find out the actual values of these dimensions. So let's start with one side here. So one side, the expression was 4x plus 3. Now we know what x is. X is 10. So I'm going to replace that x with the 10 that we just found. So this is 4 times 10, so that's 40, plus 3, which is 43. Let's look at another expression. Here on the bottom we have 5x minus 2. So we have 5x minus 2. We're going to substitute that value for x in here. So 5 times 10 minus 2. So 5 times 10 is 50. 50 take away 2 is 48. And the last expression that we have for a side is 2 times all of x minus 4. So let's replace the value of x, which we said was 10, minus 4. So let's look at inside this red bracket. We have 10 take away 4. So 10 take away 4 is 6. So 2 times 6 makes 12. All right. So we would say something like the dimensions are 43 meters, 48 meters, and 12 meters. If you add them up, Okay, 48 plus 12 is 60. 60 plus 43 is 103, which is what is stated. So, the key steps for problems like this, you need to first develop an equation to represent the perimeter as the sum of the sides and equaling the length, all right, the length that is given to you. The next thing you're going to do is to solve that equation for the unknown variable. And once you know that value, you will substitute it into the expressions for the side lengths to determine their values. So here's one problem I'd like you to try. It says here the perimeter of this trapezoid is 54 meters. Determine its dimensions. So again, go through those 3 steps. Develop an equation, solve for the missing variable, and substitute them into the side. So give that question a try. Pause the video now, give it a shot, and then when you're ready to see a solution, you can press play. All right, so let's build our equation. So if we add up the 4 sides, they should equal to 54 meters. So let's look at the top side here. So 3 times x plus 1 plus 4x minus 5. I'm just going to go in counterclockwise. Plus 4 times 2x minus 3 plus 2x. That should equal 54. All right, we need to do a little bit of simplifying. So we're going to multiply the 3 into these 2 terms inside the brackets, and then also with that 4. So if we do that, we end up with 3x, and then 3 times 1 is 3, so that's plus 3. Here's plus 4x minus 5 plus, now we have to multiply here, so 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times negative 3, that's minus 12, plus 2x is equal to 54. All right, I notice that there are some x's and there are some constant terms, so I'm just going to underline these x terms here. So 3x plus 4x, that's 7x, plus 8x is 15, plus another 2, that's 17x. Let's look at these constant terms. I have plus 3 minus 5 minus 12. So 3 take away 5, that's negative 2. Take away 12, so that's negative 14 is equal to 54. Now we're just going to solve this equation. So I'm going to isolate this x. I'm going to add 14 on the left-hand side of this equation. So that means I also have to add 14 on the right-hand side. Those will add to 0. So on the left I have 17x is equal to 54 plus 14 is 68. Now I'm going to divide both sides now by the 17. So those 17s will divide away. So x is equal to 4. All right, now that I know the value of x, I now need to find out how long each side is. So let's look at the first side here. That's 3 times x plus 1. So let's do 3 times x plus 1. I'm going to substitute that value of x with 4. So I'm going to write 4 plus 1. So inside the bracket, 4 plus 1 makes 5. So 3 times 5 is 15. Let's look at another side here. It says 4x minus 5. So let's write 4x minus 5. That's equal to 4. And instead of writing x, I'm going to substitute the value of x, which is 4. And then minus 5. 4 times 4 is 16. And then if you subtract 5 more, that would be 11. Let's look at the bottom side here. So that's 4 times all of 2x minus 3. So I'm going to replace that x with 4 minus 3. So inside here we have 2 times 4 is 8. So that's 8 take away 3. 8 take away 3 inside this bracket is 5. So 4 times 5 is 20. All right, and the last one, the side is just 2x, so we are going to replace that x with the 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. All right, so each of these are in meters. I'm not going to change the color. It's a long question. All right, so those are the dimensions of the trapezoid. So remember, we built an equation, solved it, and substituted in. So that's how you do questions like these that they're asking you to model perimeter with algebra. So best of luck.